Hi everyone, this is Mr. Mohid from Aim High Private Tuition, and today we're going to go over the FA/FB checkout paper, which is going to be based on all the algebra topics that you've covered over the past few weeks. So if you could get your paper out, the one that you've done at home, and preferably have with you a different color pen, a red pen for example, and then as I go over the answers I would like you to mark it and make the corrections. So let's get started. So we'll start with question 1. So some of the questions I'm not going to go into too much detail because they should be pretty straightforward as I mark it. So we'll see how we get on with the first few. 4b plus 5b simply going to be 9b. If you get that, you can have 1 mark. This one, 7 times by 9, you're going to do that first. So 7 times by 9 is 63. Now be careful in the next part. You have d times by d. You should get d squared. Now I know a lot of you are going to forget this one and you're going to just write d. But just be careful, it has to be d squared. You'll get the mark if you got all that correct. Next one is 8b. Again, similar to question B, question D is 11. K times k is k squared. And I know a few of you are going to write down just k, so just don't lose that mark there. Next one, question E, you have 6a plus 3a. Notice how I've circled the sign in front of the letter that I'm collecting as well. So all the like terms, I collect them together. 6a add 3a is 9a. Then I'm going to use a different shape and enclose the other ones there, other letters there. So I've got 4b plus 1b, that's going to be positive 5b. So you'll get 1 mark for each expression. 9a, 1 mark, 5b, 1 mark, and with a plus sign obviously in between. Similarly, question F, 4x, add 2x, that's 6x, take away 3x, 6x, take away 3x is 3x, 1 mark, and then you've just got negative 2y left over, so minus 2y. Again, that's 2 marks if you got that correct. Indices. When you multiply two indices together with the same base, so in this case the base is m, you simply add the powers. So the answer to this is m to the power of 9. This one's slightly trickier, you have to do it in 2 stages. So let's work out the numerator first. 3 times 2 is 6. Q to the power of 4, q to the power of 5. Remember, you add the powers, so that will become q to the power of 9 divided by q to the power of 3. That's step 1 done. That will get you 1 mark if you got that part. Next bit, you have 6 on its own there. We'll leave that as it is. Now we're dividing powers. When we divide powers, we subtract the indices. So you're going to have 9 take away 3. So q to the power of 9 take away 3 is 6. That would be 2 marks, 1 for each step. Okay, so question 3. Write the first 5 terms of each of these sequences. Start at 16. Okay, so we're going to put 16 as our first number, and you're going to subtract 5 each time. 11, take away 5, 6, take away 5, and then you got negative 4. Now, a common mistake people are going to do is not going to read the question properly. It says start at 16. So they're going to ignore the 16 and they'll start at 11. So if you have done that, you lose, let me see, you won't get the full marks if you do that because all of them are worth 3 marks. However, if in the second bit you've made the similar mistake, but although the numbers are right, you can have 2 marks for that. So let's do the next one. You start at 8. You're going to subtract 7, so take away 7, take away 7, take away 7, and then take away 7. You should have got that. Start at 3. You multiply, so you're going to multiply by 7. 7 times by 3 is 21. Times that by 3. 21 times by 7. Now if you can't do that, remember you go back to one of the tools that you should have, which is either column multiplication or grid multiplication. Multiply on the side. 1 times 7 is 7, 2 times 7 is 14, 147, and so on. So each time you're timesing by 7. This one will be 1029, and 7203. 3 marks for all of that. If you got one of them wrong, you'll lose a mark each. And like I said before, if you say, for instance, you didn't start at 16, you started at 11, you can get all the marks, but you'll only lose 1 mark for making that first initial mistake. Question 4. Find the term-to-term rule. All you have to do in this case is find out what is changing each time. So in this case, you're adding 4 each time. Adding 4. Or you could just write plus 4. In this one, as you can see, you're taking away 3 each time. So you can write take away 3, you can write subtract 3, whatever you fancy. Or if you want to be really lazy, just write minus 3. Question number 5. So question 5 is a function machine. Now, there is a slight printing error in this, in that the last box was left empty. It did say something else on here, but it's not printed, so let's ignore that. So we'll start with the first one. In goes minus 2. You multiply it by 4. Minus 2 times by 4 is minus 8. Minus take away 7, and the answer that comes out is negative 15. Similarly, 1 goes in. 1 times by 4 is 4. Take away 7, and you get minus 3. This one you have to do the inverse, so you go backwards. So in this case, 17 is coming out of the function machine. Now you do the opposite. So you're going to add 7, 17 add 7, and then you're going to divide by 4. So once you've done that, 17 add 7, and then you get the answer, divide it by 4, you should get 6. Okay, so this one will be worth 2 marks, this one is 1 mark, this one is 1 mark, total of 4. Question 6. So the question says, this is the nth term of a sequence. Write down the first 3 terms. So all you have to do is you're going to substitute n equals 1, n equals 2, and n equals 3 to find the first 3 terms. So when n equals 1, 4 times by 1 is 4, take away 7. 4 take away 7 is negative 3. To find the second term, when n equals 2, 4n, remember 4n means 4 times n. 4 times 2 is 8, 8 take away 7 is 1. N equals 3, 4 times by 3 is 12, 12 take away 7 is 5. So you get 1 mark you get 3 marks, sorry, you get 2 marks if you get all 3 correct. If you make 1 mistake, you only get 1 mark. Question number 7. Question number 7. Find an expression for the nth term of the sequence. So this is your sequence. We want to find an expression for the nth term. Now, if you remember this, there's a method to doing this, and there are actually a couple of methods. I'm going to go with the easiest method that people find really easy. So the first thing is you find out what is the change. What is it going up what is it going up each time? In this case, it's going up in 4s. So the first part of the nth term is going up in multiples of 4. So you write down 4n, 4 times the number. Now the shortcut is this. Imagine you had the 0th number. So this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. If you had the 0th number, so the one before the first term, what would it have been? Clearly you can see you're adding 4 each time. But if you went backwards, what would this number be? And 1 take away 4 is negative 3. So that number would be negative 3. So all you do in the nth term to finish it off is write negative 3. So the nth term is 4n minus 3. Explain why 95 will not be in the sequence. Now, this is only worth 2 marks. This is what some people would do. Some people will say, okay, to find out if 95 is in this sequence, I'm going to carry on adding 4 each time. Each time I'm going to continue to add 4 until I get to 95 and determine whether it's in the sequence or not. But that's going to take ages. And in an exam, we don't really have a lot of time to be wasting on that. So we have to use some of our skills on algebra. So we're going to solve an equation. So we know that the nth term, the general formula for this sequence is 4n minus 3. And if you want to see if 95 is in this sequence, we equate it to 95. And now we solve it. So to solve it, you just get rid of everything apart from the n. So to get rid of the minus 3, I add 3 to both sides. So I'm left with 4n is equal to 98. And then to get rid of the 4 times n, I divide by 4 both sides. And I'm left with n is equal to 98 divided by 4. Now if you can't do that, don't worry. On the side somewhere, get your bus stop out and divide it this way. 4 goes into 9 twice with a remainder of 1. 4 goes into 18. 4, 8, 12, 16. That's 4 times with a remainder of 2. So you put a decimal point there and a 0 there. 4 goes into 20 5 times and you get 24.5. So because this is a decimal and you can't have a 24.5 number, we say no, 95 is not in the sequence. It's because this cannot be a decimal, whereas if it was a whole number, then it would have been in the sequence. So you will get 1 mark for setting that up and 1 mark for finding 24.5 and saying no. If you just say no, you don't get the mark. Okay, moving on. Let's go to question number 8. Question 8 says expand. Expand means to multiply everything outside the bracket by everything inside. 7 times 2 is 14, and then you've got b there, 14b. 7 times by negative 1 is negative 7. That's your first mark. Similarly here, but be careful because you've got 2 c's. 3c times c, that's going to give you 3c squared. 3c times by 5 is going to give you positive 15c. 1 mark for each step. So 3c squared is 1 mark, 15c is another mark. Factorize means to put inside a bracket. Okay, or put brackets in. It's the opposite of expanding. So what you need to do in this case is you need to look for a common factor. A common factor is a. So we get a outside the bracket. To make a squared, I need to put another a there. Plus, to get 8a, I need to multiply a by 8. And that's factorized. So you'll get 1 mark for factorizing the a out and the other mark for the rest of the brackets. Factorize completely. Now, what this means is you need to first look for the highest common factor of 10 and 30. Some people will go for 2, some people will go for 5, some people will go for other numbers. But the best thing to do is find the highest common factor, the biggest number that goes into both of them. And the biggest number is 10. Then you look for any letters that are common. In this case, the letter that's common is x. So you pull the smallest one out. To get from 10x to 10x squared, I just need 1 more x. Take away. To get from 10x to 30xy, I times it by 3. That will give me 30x. But then I put a y on to make it 30xy. Again, 1 mark for factorizing it. And the second mark is if we factorized it completely with the highest common factor outside. Expand and simplify. So same as the first question up there, all we're going to do is expand it. So you're going to work out what 6 times by 7a is, so that's 42. A plus 6 times by 2 is 12. Now be careful here. To work out this, you've got negative 2 times by 2a is negative 4a. Now be really careful in the next bit. You have a negative sign there and a negative sign there. So minus 2 times by minus 3. When you have two negatives multiplied together, you get a plus. So 2 times 3 is 6. A lot of people are going to make this mistake and forget it's not a minus and write down minus. Remember, it's not minus, it's a positive there. That's your first mark. The second mark is collecting the like terms. 42a, take away 4a. So when you work that out, you get 38a. 12 add 6. 12 add 6 is going to be positive 18. That's your final answer. Question number 9, factorize. Similar to the ones we did earlier. You look for the highest common factor, in which case it's 2. X comes outside the bracket, but to get 2 to 4x, you need to times that by 2 as well. So 2 times 2x is 4x, plus 2 times by 5 is 10. So that's how you get that. Okay, so if you want to check, 2 times 2 is 4x, 2 times by 5 is 10. In this case, again, you look for the highest common factor. Some people are going to choose 2, some people are going to use 4, etc. But you're going to look for the highest common factor, which is 8. 8 comes outside the bracket. 8 times by 3 is 24, but you've also got an x there. So 8 times by 3x. 8 times by 1 is 8. And there you go. Question 10, factorize again. And similarly, this one, the common factor is d. 9 goes out inside. D times d is d squared. And that's that. Question 11, substitution. You're going to replace all the x's with the number 2, and then you're going to find out the answer. So you're going to have y is equal to 3 times by 2 plus 5. I put my times in a bracket. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 add 5 is 11. 2 marks, 1 mark for the working, 1 mark for the answer. This one you have to be a little bit careful. So you've got a is 3 and k is minus 5. So to work out m, I'm going to substitute k, which is minus 5 squared, minus a, which is 3, times by k, which is minus 5. And minus 5 times minus 5, so minus 5 squared is positive 25, because 2 negatives make a positive. And then you have minus 3 times minus 5 is positive 15. So that will get you the first mark, second mark, and the last mark. You just add them together and you get 40. So question number 12. This is where you have to fill in the table and draw a linear graph. So you've got the value for y here. The equation for y is 2x plus 4. You've been given all these x values. So all you're going to do is you're going to substitute the given values for x to find out the corresponding y. So when x is equal to 1, I always start with the positive easy numbers. Put 1 inside there. So you have 2 times by 1, add 4. 2 times 1 is 2, add 4, and that's 6. Then you're going to put 2 inside here when x is 2. 2 times by 2 is 4. Then you're going to add 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 add 4 is 8. This one's done for you. This one, you're going to substitute minus 1 in there. 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. Minus 2 add 4 is going to give you positive 2. You'll get 2 marks for getting all of that correct. If you did one of those wrong, you'll get only 1 mark. Now you just plot this table onto the graph. So we'll start with the first one, minus 1. So you're going to go minus 1 across and 2 up. So I usually put a little dot there. Then that's done. 0, 4. So 0 across. So I'm not going to move in the horizontal direction. And 4 up. Put a dot there. And 1 across and 6 up. 2 across, 8 up. 3 across, 10 up. You should get a nice straight line. And then with a ruler, you're going to join those points together. And there you go, that's your second mark. So 1 mark for all the correct dots, the second mark for a line straight through it. Question 13, solving an equation. So solve means to find the letter. In this case, find W. So we're just going to balance the equation. So to work out what W is, we're going to get rid of the minus 1 first by adding 1 to both sides. So you're left with 2W equals 13 add 1 is 14. And then to get rid of the 2 from both sides, it's 2 times w first. So to do the opposite, you divide by 2, divide by 2. So w is equal to 14 divided by 2 is 7. Of course, you could do a lot of these in your head, but these are the steps, especially for the harder questions. So you get 2 marks if you've got the right answer, or you can get 1 mark for the working out. This one is w plus 5 divided by 2 equals 30. So step 1, let's get rid of this ugly looking division, because usually they're the complicated things in life. So let's get rid of divide by 2 by timesing by 2, both sides. So this and this will cancel out, leaving you with w plus 5 equals 30 times 2 is 60. Then to get rid of the plus 5, I'm just going to subtract 5 from both sides. So w is going to be 55. So that's your answer. So 7 and 55 for that one. And this one, there's just an extra step you have to do, which is to expand it. 5 times 2 is 10, 10y, plus 5 times 7 is 35, equals 20. And now we just solve it. So take away 35, take away 35. 10y is equal to 15. And then the last step, divide both sides by 10. So y is equal to 15 divided by 10 is 1.5. Question number 14. Make t the subject of the formula. So at the moment, v is the subject of the formula. What the question is asking us to do is find out what t is. So the way you do this is you're going to get rid of everything apart from the t. So we're going to start off, I usually like covering the thing I want. So I want to cover everything attached to it. So cover the t and everything that's attached to the t. The first thing I need to do is get rid of the u. So I take away u from both sides and I'm left with v. Take away u. U take away u is 0, so it cancels out. So that's disappeared. And then I'm left with positive 10t. Now to get rid of the 10 from the t, at the moment it says 10 times t. So you do the opposite. So you divide by 10, divide by 10. So you're left with v minus u, divide by 10 equals t. And that's your answer. V minus u over 10. Question number 15. Inequalities on a number line. Show the inequality x is greater than 1 on a number line below. So all you do is, a lot of people know what to do, but they don't know how to write the answer down according to what the examiner wants. So all you're going to do is you're going to look for 1 on this x-axis. You're going to look for 1 and you're going to put a circle on 1. This is saying x is greater than 1. So this direction, x, all these values are less than 1. This direction, all the values are greater than 1. So you simply draw a long arrow right to the end of the line and that's it. Now, important thing is this circle, you don't color it in because the question says greater than 1, not including 1. If the question said x is greater than or greater than or equal to 1 like this, you'd color the circle in like this. But in this case, we don't do this because it just says greater than 1. Solve the inequality. Solving means to just find the letter. Again, it's the same process, but instead of having an equal sign, we leave the inequality in. So add 3 to both sides. 7x is greater than 18, add 3 is 21. Then divide both sides by 7. X is greater than 21 divided by 7 is 3. So the answer is x is greater than 3. If you wrote x is equal to 3, unfortunately you won't get the full marks. You'll only get 1 mark out of the 2. It has to have that inequality in. N is an integer, right? An integer, a lot of people get scared of this word. All it means, not a wrong number, it's a whole number. A fancy, posh word meaning whole number. So this question is saying n is between -1 and 4. Write all the possible numbers it could be. So I'm just going to start with -1 and I'm going to end at 4. all the numbers in between, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The only catch to this is the inequalities. Here, the question says n is greater than or equal to -1, so you can leave the -1 in. This side, it says n is less than 4, so you must not include that 4. That would be your final answer. Shown is a triangle. Work out the value of x. So as soon as you see a triangle and some angles, all that should be going through your mind is the number 180 degrees. Angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So all we're going to do is we're going to add up all these angles and to equal it to 180. So x add 2x is 3x, add 2x, that's 5x. 20 take away 20 is 0. 0 take away -40 is -40. And you're going to total that to 180 degrees because angles in a triangle add up to 180. Now to find x, you're just going to solve it. Solve means to find x. So opposite of -40, add 40 to both sides. 5x is equal to 220 degrees. And then divide both sides by 5. X is equal to 220 divided by 5. If you can't work it out, on the side somewhere, get your bus stop out. 5 goes into 22 4 times with a remainder of 2. 5 goes into 20. 5 goes into 24 times. So the answer is x equals to 44. So 44 is your answer. 1 mark for writing 5x, 1 mark for writing -40, 1 mark for 180, 1 mark for the final answer. So here's a double bracket. So to expand a double bracket, you'll get a quadratic, which is something with a square in it. So everything outside the bracket multiplies by everything inside the bracket. So b times b is b squared. B times 7 is positive 7b. Then the inner brackets. 4 times b is plus 4b. 4 times 7 is plus 28. Now we've expanded it. That's 1 mark. We simplify it. There's only one b squared there, so we leave that as it is. Collect all the b's together. 7b plus 4b is 11b plus 28. That's your final answer. That's your second mark. Question 18. So question 18 says complete the table of values for x squared minus 3x, and you're going to fill that table in by substituting the numbers that you're given. Again, start with the easy numbers. So we'll start with 2. Substitute x equals 2 into the expression, so you get 2 squared minus 3 times by 2. 2 squared is 4. 3 times by 2 is 6. 4 take away 6 is -2. 4, again you do that. Same thing, 4 squared. Take away 3 times by 4. 4 squared is 16. 3 times 4 is 12. 16 take away 12 is 4. The last one, -1 squared. Take away 3 times by -1. -1 times -1 is +1. -3 times -3 is +3. 3 add 1 is 4. That will get you the first 2 marks. If you made one mistake on any of those, you lose 1 mark. If you made more than one mistake, you won't get any marks. The second part is plotting this table onto this axis. Okay, so we're going to look for first -2 and 10. So -2 across and 10 up, which is up there. Put a little dot there. Done that one. Then I'm going to look for -1 across and 4 up. -1 and 4 goes there. That's done. 0, 0 and 0, 0, 0 there. 1 and -2. So couldn't see it. 1 and -2. 1 across, -2 down. 3 and 0. 3 across and 0 up. And the last one is 4 and 4. 4 across and 4 up is there. So you should get, once you've got the points there, that's your first mark. Then you're going to draw it with a smooth curve. So you don't need a ruler. All you do is go freehand. Doesn't matter if it's not super accurate, as long as you've got a curve. Now this curve is called a parabola. It's a quadratic curve. It's a U-shaped curve. If you got the first part wrong, so if you got the table wrong, but you went on to drawing a curve, or you went on to plotting the points, you'll still get 2 marks for that, but you won't get the full marks for that. It's called an error carried forward mark. Okay, so that's 2 marks. And the last question is on simultaneous equations, which is this one. So the question says, solve 2x plus 4 equals 14, 4x minus 4 equals 4. A simultaneous equation is simply 2 equations happening at the same time, and you have to find the x and the y values. This is a simple type. There are other types, but we're just going to focus on the simple type, which is on the foundation paper. So the good thing is you've got two variables which are the same. You've got 4y and a 4y. You first eliminate the things that are the same. In this case, we're going to eliminate the y's. That's a positive 4y and that's a negative 4y. To eliminate those two, you're simply going to add the 2 equations together. You're going to add everything together. 2x plus 4x is 6x. 4y plus negative 4y, that's 0. So I'm not going to write anything down there because it's eliminated. 14 plus 4 is 18. That's your first step done. Now to work out x, divide both sides by 6. Obviously you can do this in your head. I'm just showing you the method. 18 divided by 6 is going to be 3. That's your first answer. Okay, 1 mark for that. So you get 1 mark for adding the 2 equations, 1 mark for finding the first value of x. To find y, you simply substitute. So you replace the x equals 3 into any one of the 2 equations. So you're going to get x equals 3 that you've just found and substitute into any one of the 2. I'm going to go with the first one because the first one looks a bit easier. You get the same mark even if you did the second one, so it doesn't matter. So you're going to substitute. So 2 times by x, which is 3, plus, so 2 times by x, which is 3, plus 4y equals 14. So all I've done is put it into there. 2 times 3 is 6, 4y equals 14. Now I'm going to solve it, so I'm going to get rid of this 6 from both sides. So when I do that, that's going to become 0, leave me with 4y here. 14 take away 6 is going to be 8, and divide both sides by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. That's your second answer, so that's your third mark. Okay, so the steps are as follows. Add the 2 equations, eliminate the y's, solve to find x, then substitute to find the corresponding y value, and that's your answer. Okay, and that was the last question. So I want you to add up your scores. If you need to go back to the video, go back to the video, have a look at the paper copy that I'll upload in the folders. Once you've marked it, find out which questions or which topics you need to go over, which ones you're not really sure about, and then once you've done that, I'll put some worksheets on those topics that you can practice. So all you're going to do is, let me see if I can find the paper. So you're going to go through, so on the front cover sheet, all you're going to do is go go around, make another column. You could call that, oops, you can call that your score. So another column there, and go through each of the questions and find out how many marks you got. So in the first one, you might have only got 7 marks, write it down. You might have got 3 marks, etc. Find out what you've got, and the ones that you've not done too well on, color them in red, and then I'll put a topic, I'll put some work on those topics that you can have a go at home. Okay, if you've got any questions, email me or get in touch and I'll be more than happy to help. So this is Mr Mohid with Aim High Private Tuition. I shall see you all soon.